One of the key things that will determine the success of your mechanical project is how well you design it, but don't let that scare you. Some people think that because they're not very good draftsmen or not very good at drawing blueprints, that they can't build successful mechanics. But that's not true. Designing your mechanical project doesn't mean that you have to have every detail drawn up on paper before you start. All it means is that you should have at least a definite list of the features that you want your mechanical project to have before you start building it. That way you don't waste time and effort building features that will never be used. A good plan before you start always helps the job go easier. If you are the type of person that likes to have things drawn up on paper before you start, that's fine, as long as you don't get so wrapped up in the design process that you lose interest in your project before you start building it. I find what works best for me is a good thorough checklist of all the features I want my mechanical project to have. That way, while I'm building the project, I stay focused on the list and I won't get sidetracked trying to cram in needless features that I won't really use. The list I use is simple, and please feel free to copy it or modify it to fit your needs. Let's take a look at that list now. As you can see, this is just a simple checklist with a bunch of features listed on it. I find it easy to make a Xerox copy of this sheet and then go down the list and highlight each feature that I want to have in my mechanical project. There is also a place for the date, name, and description of the project, and you can also keep notes on the back of this sheet if you like. This makes it handy for future reference. You may even want to attach a photo of the project to this sheet for future reference before you file it. Let's go down the list now and see what each of these features are. The first choice you will have to make is what type of base do you want your mechanical project to have. The base is the main structure or support for your mechanics. You modify this base and add mechanics to it to get the features you like. Your options of a base are a pre-made skull or form, a fiberglass underskull, or a frame. A pre-made skull or form is a plastic skull model kit or something as simple as a plastic milk jug. The fiberglass underskull is a fiberglass base custom formed to fit beneath the skin of a character. The frame is a wooden, plastic, steel, or aluminum structure that you build. Later in the video, we're going to be building 3 different mechanical heads. Each one will use a different one of these bases. The next choice you'll have to make is what type of eye movement you want. Your options are stationary, which is no movement at all, up and down movement, left and right movement, or movement in all directions. As you can see, next to the up and down, left and right, and all direction movements, there are options of external mount or internal mount. We'll be explaining in more detail what these are later. You'll also have to decide how the eyes will be operated. They can be hand operated, cable controlled, or controlled in some other way, such as radio controlled. The next choice you will have to make is the choice of jaw movement. This can be stationary, which is no movement, open and close, side to side movement, and you'll also have to decide how the jaw will be operated. Hand operated, cable controlled, or by some other means, such as radio controlled. The choice after that is the choice of expressions. You have eyebrows, upper lips, lower lips, cheek movement, nose movement, and ear movement. And once again, you'll have to decide with these, will they be hand operated, cable controlled, or controlled in some other way. The last 2 choices you will have to make is the choice of what neck movement you would like, and that could be stationary, which is no movement, left and right turn, up and down tilt, side to side tilt, and you'll also have to decide how that movement will be operated. And once again, you have hand operated, cable controlled, or some other means. And the last choice you have are other types of movements or other types of features. They can be things such as a movable tongue or air bladders or other kinds of unique movements that are exclusive to your mechanical project. I would highly advise at least a minimum of making a list like this to help you stay focused on the features that you want. I would also advise that you take notes along the way, that way you can refer back to this list and your notes when working on future projects. Now, with design out of the way, let's move on to our next segment, which just happens to be one of my favorites, building eye mechanisms.